I awaken in the kitchen with my boots upon the stone, stepping through a layout where I'm staying here alone. The clock says 3:15, but the navigation's blind, operating on a track that I left far behind. I didn't make a choice to leave the safety of the bed or monitor the blueprints running straight inside my head. My muscles just conform to a domestic routine, moving like a phantom through a broken down machine. And I'm just sleepwalking through your ghost tonight, an automated shadow in the low security light, pacing out the clearances where you used to stand, reaching out for equity with an unweighted hand. No conscious configuration and no signal left to clear, just a low voltage drifting through a vanished gray hair. The baseline is unconscious, but the metrics still build on an unbending path that your departure chilled. I find myself face forward by the entryway door, tracing out the marks along the walnut wood floor. I reach for the brass handle where your jacket used to hang, listening for the echo of the final exit bang. We used to walk these corridors when mornings were gold, sharing all the details of a life we could hold. Now the sleep state is a boundary, an administrative mask, forcing my anatomy to run a useless task. You can try to wake the system or request a loop code to intercept the traveler on an unbending road, but a neurological looping won't buffer the chill when the software is crashed and the main drive stays still. I'm a somnambulist data point locked in the frame, mouth open wide to the shape of your name. And I'm just sleepwalking through your ghost tonight, an automated shadow in the low security light, pacing out the clearances where you used to stand, reaching out for equity with an unweighted hand. No conscious configuration and no signal left to clear, just a low voltage drifting through a vanished gray year. The baseline is unconscious, but the metrics still build on an unbending path that your departure chilled. My eyes open flatly as the twilight turns gray, the final quiet ledger of another dying day. The trance drops off flatly, the database is through, and I wake up freezing in the absence of you. The barometric plane is frozen, locked at 3:30. An administrative hold on the daylight and me. I watch the red integers burning through the shade, a static verification of a breakdown deliberately made. The insulation's failing, the subfloor boards are bare, leaving no more buffers for the pressure in the air. The chronology is stretched out 40 miles deep, a permanent delay while the neighborhood's asleep. And the night is way too long for my mind tonight, an unbending stretch out of the public light, a 6-hour matrix that refuses to advance, locking up the variables of a broken down chance. No automated macro to accelerate the lane, just a slow motion breakdown for my absolute pain. The tracking array is static, but the shadows still build, inside a hollowed architecture, but your departure chilled. I checked the input folders on my mobile interface, looking for a loophole or a digital saving grace, but the server returns no, the credentials have been cleared. A clinical subtraction since the day you disappeared. We used to spend the midnights when our mornings were fresh, mixing up our boundaries in a soft textile mesh. Now the hours are an insult to the quiet in my head, a loud administrative record of the things you never said. You can turn the wool pillows or change up the sheets to force a configuration of a total clean retreat, but a chronological prison won't buffer out the chill when the software has crashed and the internal drive is still. The seconds keep on stacking till the baseline goes red, as I trace out the margins of every word you said, locked inside the framework of the room. And the night is way too long for my mind tonight, an unbending stretch out of the public light, a 6-hour matrix that refuses to advance, locking up the variables of a broken down chance. No automated macro to accelerate the lane, just a slow motion breakdown for my absolute pain. The tracking array is static, but the shadows still build inside a hollowed architecture that your departure chilled. The clock shifts forward, 1 unit on the wall, the slowest evolution left inside this empty hole. The horizon stays uniform, the data set is through, and the midnight stays heavy in the absence of you. Digital numbers on the baseboard block switch to 400, a crimson alarm for an unheroed hero. My thoracic cavity tightens, a sudden barometric drop as the internal ventilation grid comes to a stop. The oxygen level is falling, a localized leak, leaving my hardware fragile, unbending and weak. The ribs are like iron bars clamping down on the frame, sucking the air from the sound of your name. And it's a 4 a.m. panic attack hitting me tonight, a hyperventilating horror out of the public light. The pulse rate is peaking 140 beats deep, while the rest of the zoning is completely safely asleep. No system error to blame for this absolute crash, just my own biology turning the gold into ash. A physical containment on a level stone floor, and a high voltage camera tracking an unyielding door. I throw off the blankets, press my heels to the pine, trying to find a baseline for this blueprint of mine. The adrenaline's pumping through the capillary lines, tracing the coordinates where our histories align. We used to share breathing when the summers were gold, and the mornings were a text that our hands could tightly hold. Now the infrastructure's shaking, the laugh boards complain, an acoustic translation of a permanent pain. You can count down from 10 or request the loop code to intercept the panic on an unbending road, but a neurological failure won't buffer the chill when the software is crashed and the main engine stays still. The extremities go goes blind, leaving the chest wall completely behind. Locked in a structural stress and it's a 4 a.m. panic attack hitting me tonight. A hyperventilating horror out of the public light. The pulse rate is peaking 140 beats deep, while the rest of the zoning is completely safely asleep. No system error to blame for this absolute crash, just my own biology turning the gold into ash. A physical containment on a level stone floor, and a high voltage camera tracking an unyielding door. The hyperventilation drops flat to a low voltage shiver, the final quiet ledger of a dead frozen river. The clock shifts to 4:15. The perspective is through, and the panic stays solid in the absence of you. My cheek is pressed flat on the cotton weave casing as the digital clock keeps its clinical pacing. It's 4 a.m. flat and the insulation has failed, leaving the mattress completely unveiled. But beneath the surface where the feathers align is a localized pooling in this ledger of mine. A moisture cake deep in the fiberboard grid from the database queries that my silence easily did. And it's a pillow wet with what ifs tonight, a high definition sorrow in the low monitor light. No mountain spring freshness and no boundary of stone, just a salty reduction since I'm staying alone. Every tear is a value, a metric, a strain, flipping the variables of a permanent pain. A damn textile capsule for a life split in two, and a memory cased in the absence of you. I trace the damn circle where the gray outlines blend, an administrative summary of a sudden cold end. What if I'd spoken when the framework was tight? What if I toggled the primary light? The scenarios loop on a liquid crystal screen, the finest performance inside a broken machine. We used to share breathing when mornings were gold, before we ran our timelines where no futures can hold. You can turn over pillows or smooth out the thread to try and clear the clearance where the connection bled, but a hardware refraction won't buffer the chill when the software keeps looping and the engine is still. The accumulation is fixed on the bed, and it's a pillow wet with what ifs tonight, a high definition sorrow in the low monitor light. No mountain spring freshness and no boundary of stone, just a salty reduction since I'm staying alone. Every tear is a value, a metric, a strain, flipping the variables of a permanent pain. A damn textile capsule for a life split in two, and a memory cased in the absence of you. The ticking runs constant, the metrics are through, the final quiet tally inside this ghost town of a year. The linen stays heavy, the alignment goes blind, and the wet fabric leaves me far behind. standing out back where the gravel is dead, looking straight up where the baseline once bled. The rest of the neighborhood is totally black. 300 houses asleep on the track. The zoning is quiet, the grid line is clear, an administrative silence for a ghost town of a year. But high on the second story, plasterboard frame, a single square polygon is playing a different game, and it's the only window lit up in the county tonight. A solitary cube of yellow fluorescent light at 80 watt, warning to the commuters below, marking the exact spot where no warmth can get through. The insulation is dead, the parameters are clear, a glowing cross-section of my absolute fear. Hyperlit matrix for a lifetime, torn apart, with the only window burning around a fraction dead heart. The meter in disc on the outer brick wall, I spin in at high velocity down in the hall, pumping the current to a scaleless white room to highlight the borders of my structural gloom. We used to switch toggles when the evenings were fresh and mix up our boundaries in a soft textile mesh. Now I maintain a lighthouse on a level stone plane, a visual beacon for a permanent pain. You can look from the highway, a trace from the lane, to see the position where the variables drain. But a high voltage theater won't buffer the chill when the software is crashed and the main drive goes still. It's an unburdened anchor burning bright in the dark, and it's the only window lit up in the county tonight. A solitary cube of yellow fluorescent light at 80 watt, warning to the commuters below, marking the exact spot where no warmth can get through. The insulation is dead, the parameters are clear, a glowing cross-section of my absolute fear. Hyperlit matrix for a lifetime, torn apart, with the only window burning around a fraction dead heart. The glass stays opaque as the midnight rolls low, a brilliant indicator for love on the go. The perimeter's blinding, the data set is through, and the window stays burning in the absence of you. Hear the ticking clock mechanism register 5, the slowest rotation for a person left alive. I roll to the left where the fabric is cold, then shift to the right where the patterns unfold. The percale is bunched in a tight wrinkled heap, an administrative barrier blocking my sleep. My body is heavy, a 3-ton frame of lead, pacing the margins of a double-sized bed. And I'm just tossing and turning over you tonight, a restless kinetic in the low monitor light, flipping the framework, unweaving the sheets, counting the tally of our absolute defeats. No body heat matrix and no baseline of calm, just a friction cake deep in the skin of my palm. A rotational hazard on a level stone plane, spinning through the loops of a permanent pain. The fiberboard backing of the headboard complains, and the acoustics response to my physical strains. I try to lay flatly to settle the score, but the phantom connection keeps pulling for more. We used to lock boundaries when mornings were gold, sharing the text we could hold. Now the allocation is empty, the database cleared, and the sleep switch went missing since the day you disappeared. You can turn the wool pillows or flatten the weave to disguise the statistics of a person who leaves, but a hardware restriction won't buffer the chill when the software keeps looping and the engine stays still. The tension is peaking right down in the core as I twist on the mattress once more. And I'm just tossing and turning over you tonight, restless kinetic in the low monitor light, flipping the framework, unweaving the sheets, counting the tally of our absolute defeats. No body heat matrix and no baseline to calm, just a friction cake deep in the skin of my palm. A rotational hazard on a level stone plane, spinning through the loops of a permanent pain. The twilight drops down to a sliver of gray, the final administrative credit of another dying day. The linen stays twisted, the alignment is through, and I keep on rolling in the absence of you. A sliver of white cuts the window frame line, exposing the layout of your history and mine. The early sun rolls through the damp coastal fog, illuminating the end of our relationship's log. It hits the bare subfloor, the plasterboard gray, washing the safety of the darkness away. I pull my coat over my white-knuckled face to block out the glare from this empty box place. And the daylight is my enemy, out here now, forcing an admission that I broke the vow. A high-definition spotlight hitting the floor, exposing the clearance by the heavy front door. No shadow to cover the fractures and stains, or hide the machinery of my absolute pains. The illumination is uniform, clinical, bright, and I am just begging for the return of the night. The 5 o'clock mornings used to start with a gleam, a beautiful dawn for our multi-volume dream. We'd watch the gold windows reflect on the track before we ran our timelines when no futures look back. Now the sun is an admin that files the report, logging the metrics of a love that fell short. It shows the 12 circles where the spackle was laid, and counts the indents where our memories decay. You can't run an equation to shut off the sky, or hide from the truth under a monotone sky. The baseline is visible, the database clear, exposing the vacuum of our vanished gray. The solar array is running at 100% to show the world how my whole system is spent, locked in the architecture noon. And the daylight is my enemy, out here now, forcing an admission that I broke the vow. A high-definition spotlight hitting the floor, exposing the clearance by the heavy front door. No shadow to cover the fractures and stains, or hide the machinery of my absolute pains. The illumination is uniform, clinical, bright, and I am just begging for the return of the night. The sun reaches maximum, the shadows run low, perspective is flatly. The matrix is through, and the daylight wins in the absence of you. My mouth is pressed close to the bare quilted foam under the low rafters of this empty box home. I'm leaning my weight on the perimeter edge, right where the fabric meets the walnut wood ledge. There are no more pillows, no sheets left to clear, just a heavy cord ticking for a vanished gray year. I let the vocabulary drop from my throat, sinking the numbers of this flat-bottom boat. The synthetic fibers absorb all the sound before a single syllable can bounce off the ground. And I'm just whispering to the mattress tonight, a low decibel static in the dim housing light, delivering my ledger to a square piece of spring that can't give an echo to a broken down thing. No database backup to carry the phrase, just a text layer buried in a permanent haze. I'm pouring my syntax straight into the mesh, resting the memories when our mornings were fresh. The internal coils give a slow motion groan, an acoustic response showing I'm staying alone. They compress a few inches right under my hand, tracing the layout of a ruined dead land. We used to share boundaries when Junes were all gold, with a high resolution warmth that our pockets would hold. Now the indentation is a record of waste, an administrative template that your exit erased. I spill out the details of our absolute crash to a textile container, turning beauty to ash. You can punch at the batting or flip over the frame to try and clear the clearance of your beautiful name, but a material fatigue won't buffer the chill when the software is crashed and the local engine stays still. The verification token is null at the core, and the parameters are bleeding straight through to the floor. And I'm just whispering to the mattress tonight, a low decibel static in the dim housing light, delivering my ledger to a square piece of spring that can't give an echo to a broken down thing. No database backup to carry the phrase, just a text layer buried in a permanent haze. I'm pouring my syntax straight into the mesh, wasting the memories when our mornings were fresh. The ticking of the clock face runs uniform, flat, the final evaluation where our relationship sat. The foam stays unyielding, the metric is through, and the mattress stays silent in the absence of you. I'm lying flat out on the bare subfloor wood, looking straight up where the acoustic tile stood. The landlord pulled the plaster to inspect the water line, leaving an exposed layout of your history and mine. A network of thin aluminum channels intersecting, need a silver cord in that grid for a total clear to feed. The suspension wires hang like needles in the dark, catching the low voltage flicker of a blue static spark. And it's the midnight ceiling grid over my head tonight, a cold architectural matrix in the pale housing light, a 2x2 template of absolute gloom, partition in the air of an empty empty box room. No soft candle shadow and no sky layer of blue. Just a rigid infrastructure in the absence of you. The lines are all parallel, the intersecting joints tight, mapping out the parameters of my solitary night. I count 36 squares inside the perimeter wall, a clinical calculation for a sudden heavy fall. I watch a solitary spider trace a metal track, bypassing the vectors that are never coming back. We used to dream of timber when our mornings were fresh, before we dropped our future in this commercial cable mesh. Now the elevation zero, the relief map has been cleared, an administrative ceiling since you completely disappeared. You can try to slip the panels back deep into the slot to cover up the wiring and the fractures that we got, but a spatial reorganization won't buffer the chill when the software is crashed and the main drive stays still. The hangars are caked in the dust motes of neglect, a material fraction that nobody tries to protect, locked into the joist below. And it's the midnight ceiling grid over my head tonight, a cold architectural matrix in the pale housing light, a 2x2 template of absolute gloom, partition in the air of an empty box room. No soft candle shadow and no sky layer of blue. Just a rigid infrastructure in the absence of you. The lines are all parallel, the intersecting joints tight, mapping out the parameters of my solitary night. The high beams pass outside and dissolve the display, turning the metallic silver back to industrial gray. The cross T's stay level, the metric is through, and the ceiling grid locks on the memory of losing you. The quartz crystal inside the plastic housing clicks again, logging another interval of what was once a 10. The dashboard of the sky is a dense and solid sheet, refusing to transmit the lines of our historic defeat. I'm lying cross-legged on the raw foundation stone, monitoring the database to make sure I'm alone. The digits do not slide, they don't skip or advance, just locking up the variables of our broken down chance. And I'm just counting the seconds till the dawn tonight, a manual extraction of the living daylight. 1001, 1002, a cold arithmetic to divide myself from you. No automated macro to accelerate the lane, just a linear tally for my absolute pain. The tracking array is static, but the numbers still build inside a hollowed architecture that your departure chilled. The compressor gives a sudden heavy thud, vibrating the subfloor like a slow motion flood. I check the input tray on my mogul interface, but the network layer's dead inside this empty box space. We used to ignore the clock face when summers were golden, map out the details of a future we could hold. Now I reduce the layout to a single ticking chime, the loneliest administrator running out of time. You can scroll out the ledger or request a loop code to bypass the constraints of an unbending road, but a chronological prison won't buffer the chill when the software is crashed and the internal engine still. 5,000 more fractions before the gray hued return. turns to expose the wreckage where the blue burner burns deep inside the kitchen hall. And I'm just counting the seconds till the dawn tonight, a manual extraction of the living daylight. 1001, 1002, a code arithmetic to divide myself from you. No automated macro to accelerate the lane, just a linear tally for my absolute pain. The track and the race static, but the numbers still build inside a hollowed architecture that your departure chilled. The counter hits 0, but the matrix stays blind. The final administrative marker left behind. The horizon stays uniform, the metric is through, and the seconds run out in the absence of you. I'm lying stationary on the bare subfloor wood, right next to the perimeter where a devotion once stood. The window sashes are unlatched, letting in the damp under the buzzing circuit of a county street lamp. But sudden sweep of white cuts through the dark window pane, a high velocity transition from the main highway lane. It throws a sharp geometry across the ceiling light, a moving blueprint of our fragmented path. And it's your headlights dancing on the wall tonight, two fluid vectors made of cold halogen light. They sweep across the plasterboards, uniform and clean, bypassing the wreckage of our domestic machine. For a single millisecond the shadows all clear in a phantom simulation of our vanished gold year. But the angles keep moving, they don't lock or remain, just tracking the velocity of your empty lane. The twin beams slide over where the picture hooks align, cutting through the layout of your history in mind. They illuminate the circles where the spackle hasn't dried, the exact configurations where the old secrets hide. I hold my breath tight as the illumination peaks, listening to the iron grate where the floorboard squeaks. We used to race out to the driveway when those high beams would show, back when our baseline system didn't require me to let go. You can look for an advance or request a loop code to intercept the travelers on an unbending road. But an optical refraction won't buffer the chill when the software is crashed and the local engine stays still. The white rectangles shift from the left to the right, dumping their statistics in the middle of the night before they slip out of the frame. And it's your headlights dancing on the wall tonight, two fluid vectors made of cold halogen light. They sweep across the plasterboards, uniform and clean, bypassing the wreckage of our domestic machine. For a single millisecond the shadows all clear in a phantom simulation of our vanished gold year. But the angles keep moving, they don't lock or remain, just tracking the velocity of your empty lane. The illumination drops flatly at the edge of the door, the final administrative marker on the walnut floor. The blackness turns uniform, data feed is through, and the headlights bleed out in the absence of you. piled a heavy layer straight across my chest, trying to simulate the alignment of a long-distance guest. The thick wool plaid that we bought down in Maine, and a quilted cotton canvas holding all my layout pain. The insulation's gone and the window sash is loose, leaving the bedroom with no utility or use. I tuck the margins tight right underneath my chin, but there's a micro perforation where the dark settles in. And I'm just shivering under two blankets tonight, a desperate constriction out of the public light. The textiles are heavy, 12 pounds of a shield, but they won't stop the freeze where the fracture was revealed. No internal furnace and no biological spark, just an unweighted body moving blindly through the dark. I can feel the cold aggregate right through the floor. The blankets can't buffer the drop anymore. The fiberboard backing of the headboard is cold, shedding the configuration that our hands used to hold. I check the green integers flashing on the wall, a clinical confirmation of a permanent fall. We used to share boundaries when mornings were fresh, with your hand inside mine through the thermal weave mesh. Now the allocation is empty, the database is cleared, and administrative winter since the day you disappeared. You can stack up the linens or dial up the dial to try and force a comfort through your very last mile, but a deep tissue drop won't yield to the weave when the software has crashed and the operator leaves. The capillaries close down at the surface of skin to let the absolute baseline of midnight win. And I'm just shivering under two blankets tonight, a desperate constriction out of the public light. The textiles are heavy, 12 pounds of a shield, but they won't stop the freeze where the fracture was revealed. No internal furnace and no biological spark, just an unweighted body moving blindly through the dark. I can feel the cold aggregate right through the floor, and the blankets can't buffer the drop anymore. The threads give a rustle as the twilight turns gray, the final material marker of another dying day. The canvas stays icy, the connection is through, and I keep on shivering in the absence of you. I'm lying face up where the subfloor meets the last, staring at the ceiling of a fragmented path. The room is a cavern of absolute shade, since the main power toggles were intentionally laid. But down by the baseboard, a low voltage spark is burning a hole through the physical dark. An old plastic casing from 1984, cast in red integers straight across the floor. And it's the clock radio glow in the bedroom tonight, a crimson distortion out of the public light. 200 milliwatts bleeding onto the wall, low bite rate warning of a permanent fall. No soft candle shadow, no golden hour sun, just a digital tally of a timeline that's done. It blinks loneliest ledger of a broken down life. The display reads 320, unmoving and flat, right where the remains of our relationship sat. A quartz crystal timer that doesn't lose track of a high velocity capsule that is never coming back. We used to check signals when mornings would go to wake up the future that our hands could tight hold. Now the speaker mesh hums with a 60 cycle strain, an acoustic comment to my layout of pain. You can spin the small dial or adjust the wire line to separate your history from this breakdown of mine. But a local receiver won't buffer the chill when the software is crashed and the main drive goes still. The emergency broadcast is standard and bare, sucking the volume right out of the air. Locked on the frequency band, and it's the clock radio glow in the bedroom tonight, a crimson distortion out of the public light. 200 milliwatts bleeding onto the wall, a low bite rate warning of a permanent fall. No soft candle shadow, no golden hour sun, just a digital tally of a timeline that's done. It blinks through the static, it cuts like a knife. The loneliest ledger of a broken down life. The background remains, but the station is through. A total tech exit from the blueprint of you. The numbers stay red as the midnight rolls low, and the clock radio glows with nowhere left to go. I'm sitting cross-legged on the bare mattress foam, under the rafters of an empty box home. The primary current is cut from the grid to bury the fractures that our silence easily did. But down by the baseboard, a 5-voltage spark is boring a hole through the suffocating dark. The small charging module of my mobile device is casting a blueprint of absolute ice. And it's a blue light in a dark room tonight, a cold digital laser out of the public light, illuminating nothing but the dust on the floor and the outline of an unyielding door. No ambient ember and no golden hour glow, just a short wavelength frequency down below, spilling high definition grease on the wall and locking my eyes in a terminal fall. The indicator diode gives a flickering pulse, a clinical red out of our system convulse. It reflects off the copper of a bare picture hook, right where your landscape sat before you mistook. We used to block windows when the mornings were gold to protect the parameters of a hand I could hold. Now I let the technology saturate the frame with the low bite rate shadow that carries your name. You can flip over screens or request a loop code to patch up the wiring on this unbending road, but a liquid crystal matrix won't buffer the chill when the software is crashed and the engine stays still. The notification traces zero unread, a literal ledger of the final words you said, fixed on the silicon tray. And it's a blue light in a dark room tonight, a cold digital saturated. The flashing is through, the final automated connection to the blueprint of you. The display stays unmoving, the database goes blind, and the cold blue light leaves me far behind. I'm lying flat out on the bare subfloor wood, right next to the spot where a devotion once stood. The lighting is low, just a silver screen glare, bouncing straight off from my deepest despair. High up above me on the plasterboard sheet, an industrial fixture keeps up a dull beat. Four wooden blades tracking circles of gloom, slicing the air of an empty box room. And I'm just staring at the ceiling fan tonight, a mechanical rotation out of the public light, spinning around uniform, a motionless track, move completely but never looking back. A four-blade equation that has no end or start, mirroring the loops of a fraction dead heart. It stirs up the dust motes, but it won't clear the chill while the system is crashed and the engine stays still. The motor is humming a low voltage strain, a steady accompaniment to all my layout pain. I watch the white tip of the trailing edge glide, cutting right through where our histories collide. We used to find comfort when the summer nights awoke and the air currents lifted the words that we spoke. Now the alignment is warped and the bearings are dry, an automated circle underneath a gray sky. You can switch up the toggle or dial down the speed, or try and force a feedback that my system don't need. But a hardware refraction won't buffer the drop when the software is crashed, bringing the house to a stop. It just tracks the parameters of the dark hall, and I'm just staring at the ceiling fan tonight, a mechanical rotation out of the public light, spinning around uniform, a motionless track, moving pleatly but never looking back. A four-blade equation that has no end or start, mirroring the loops of a fraction dead heart. It stirs up the dust motes, but it won't clear the chill while the system is crashed and the engine stays still. The pull chain gives a rattle as the twilight rolls low, the final administrative marker of a love on the go. The rotation stays constant, the database is through, and the blades keep on turning in the absence of you.